Cannon coming to you live on WLTH 1370 AM from the greatest city in all the world, Gary, Indiana. And this is the Counterpoint. Well, folks, life on the African continent these days is a mixed bag. You have growing economies such as those in Ghana and Angola who seem to be trying to claw their way out of third world poverty, shuffled in with perpetual warring states like the Sudans and the Congo. It seems that the dark continent, as it has been known, has been stuck in a state of flux for all of our lives and the lives of everyone we've ever known. So why is that? Why is the continent that has most of the world's natural resources stuck in perpetual poverty, economic misery, and upheaval? Well, unfortunately, much of the answer is found in an event that happened 134 years ago, just this week. The Berlin Conference started on November 15, 1884, and brought together the United States, along with all of the European colonial powers who had been playing their own personal game of monopoly for the preceding few centuries. The purpose of the Congress was to split up the wealth, resources, and land of the African continent among said powers without regard for the wishes or the health and well-being of the African people. By the end of the conference in 1885, the European and American powers had embarked on a destructive ransacking of the continent and its inhabitants that to this very day has left scars. In what became known as the Belgian Congo, King Leopold II enslaved and massacred up to 15 million Congolese people in order to build his rubber empire. In South Africa, tens of thousands of people died in British concentration camps during the Boer Wars that paved the way for the apartheid system that treated black South Africans as second-class citizens, lasting until 1994. Yes, that's right. I was a shorty listening to Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Nas when apartheid finally ended. Over 1 million Algerians were killed by the French in the process of civilizing them up into the 1960s. The Germans and the Belgians created divisions in what is now known as Rwanda between the Hutus and the Tutsi tribes, leading to the 1994 Rwandan genocide that left 1 million people dead and 70% of the Tutsi population exterminated. The amount of holocausts, genocides, and massacres committed, perpetrated, and encouraged by the European and American colonizers is too numerous for me to name here in my short segment on WLTH. Much of the damage to Africa was done in dividing its people. Europeans turned peaceful neighboring tribes into warring competitors for the affection of sadistic colonialists. And warring tribes that had different languages, religions, and cultures were often forced into singular states, not based on commonalities, but based solely on what colonial powers had control over them. The consequences of this are seen today in places like Cameroon, where the French-speaking and English-speaking populations are stuck in the middle of a brutal civil war. So when it comes to the $64,000 question that we have all asked ourselves at one time, why is Africa so rich while Africans remain poor? Well, just think about this and you may have your answer. The gross world product, or the entire world's economies put together, is about $80 trillion. Yes, that's trillion, with a T. The Democratic Republic of the Congo has recently had its untapped mineral reserves valued at $30 trillion. Yes, a trillion, with a T. One country in Africa has resources that is worth 3/8 of the entire world's economy by itself. The mineral coltan is what's in all of our cell phones, laptops, Blu-ray and DVD players, and car GPS systems. You get that in Africa. The zinc, the copper, the oil, the gold, the diamonds, and even the chocolate that you eat in your Nestle's Toll House chocolate chip cookies. You get that in Africa. If the West had to pay proper value for all of those minerals and resources that our entire societies run on and can't live without, our Western civilizations would inherently collapse. The richest men in the world wouldn't be old white men like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. No, they'd be Africans who, like Mansa Musa 600 years ago, would have enough wealth to collapse whole economies by themselves. No, Africa's not poor because Africans are any more slow, backwards, and prone to infighting than anyone else. All of those things could be used to describe Europeans who slaughtered and fought each other while making love to livestock and Neanderthal for millennia. No, Africa's poor because it benefits the entire rest of the world outside of its borders to be in a perpetually weakened state. And so the powers that be in our governments, banks, and multinational corporations all do their part to make sure that they prop up corrupt and psychopathic leaders like Mobutu and Idi Amin, and tear down righteous and virtuous leaders like Thomas Sankara and Patrice Lumumba, who were both assassinated with the help of Western governments and replaced by puppets because they were challenging the West's hegemony over Africa and Africans. Maybe the largest legacy of the Berlin Conference in 1884 is the way we look at Africa itself, as a sick, dysfunctional, and destitute continent that we should feel sorry for, when in reality, with the resources they have, they should be feeling sorry for us. Okay, folks, chop it up with me on Twitter, at The Chemist Lives. The Chemist is spelled with a K, as I am a product of the Gary Community School System, proudly so. And we can talk about politics, music, sports. You can tell me how terrible I am at my job. Or you can just listen to me every Monday from 6 to 8 on Issues and Answers with Jonathan Boose, and the McGee Report, brought to you by the precocious hostess with the mostest, Jamelia McGee. I am Scott Cannon, now is the Counterpoint on WLTH 1370 AM. God bless the working class, and God bless organized labor. And I'm out, humans.